Midnight Sun here, and today we're going to be covering efficiency in Diablo 3. So, in the spirit of efficiency, let's go ahead and get right into it. This is the current leaderboards. Now you can see at the top we have a Greater Rift 150 clear. Let's move it over to the Gears of the Dreadland set. This is the set that I'm currently playing as. We see I have one 150 clear, and then we have a 149, 145, and a 140. So let's look at their Paragon. We see that they have 2,850, 2,166. So they're really kind of up there. There's a 3,000 Paragon build here. And if we scroll down a little bit, we'll see that there's my current stat. I'm rank 57, and I'm at 1,074 Paragon. So you may be wondering, well, how is it that some of these people are able to clear so high in the same amount of time that maybe I'm struggling down here at doing a Greater Rift 110, in really low rank? What is it that they're doing that's making them reach such drastic levels of Paragon? So we're going to go ahead and discuss that now. First, let's talk about builds. Most people tend to run a solo push build whenever they start the game. Now this is to clear the highest Greater Rift level, but usually it requires a high amount of Paragon to wear the items they have equipped. There's the Scoundrel that goes with it as well, a follower being very important to clearing these really high Greater Rifts. And then you can see that we have two different versions as well, if you're running, the Odyssey as Odyssey's end version of the build. So I would recommend not doing this until you've amassed that massive amount of Paragon, and instead do the GR solo speed version of the build. This allows you to equip the Guardian set, and the Guardian set significantly boosts your damage and survivability and allows you to equip some different items as well as clear Greater Rifts faster, even some kind of higher level Greater Rifts. So there's kind of the damage bonus that you get from the Guardian set there. And these items are usually a little bit easier to acquire and something that you're going to eventually switch out of. So we also have a Nephilim Rift version. This is specifically for farming Greater Rift keys. They're designed to be as fast as possible. You don't need as much damage, which means that you're just focusing on the speed. And we see that there's a couple extra items that we're getting right here. So as you're playing the game, keep an eye out for some of these extra items that are useful for running these different versions of these builds. And of course, there's also one that you have in here for bounties, if you're interested in that. I tend to run just kind of the Nephilim Rift version for doing bounties, as I don't really run bounties all that much. I do some of the visions, and I just want as much speed as possible. And then if you're in a group, there's a group speed version of this build as well. So check out these different variants first to see what you're running and what's useful. This one's specific for Echoing Nightmares. And as we go through each of these builds, we're going to be utilizing the Armory in-game to switch very easily between each of these different things. So it's not taking you as much time to go ahead and run through this. So let's go ahead and look at that now. We're going to make our way over to the Armory, and you can see that I have the Godspeed version right there. It's my kind of main setup. I can click this little details thing to make sure it's set up properly. I have one for the Nightmares that I run occasionally when I do the Nightmare dungeons, or the Petrified Screams. And then we have the Guardian push version. So this is the highest version I can use on the Guardians to push. And then I have the speed version, which again is currently equipped. And then I've created the Nephilim Rift version here at the bottom. So you can see that the items here are a little bit different. And again, I can click on them to take a peek and see what they look like here. Now notice, for some reason, the game's granted me a lot of primals for the Nephilim Rift version of this build, and I haven't got them all the way augmented. If I hit equip there, it just automatically removes any item I don't need, and then I can go ahead and put those items in the stash so that, I don't accidentally scrap them for, whatever reason. It doesn't really matter what tab they go into. The first 2 or 3 tabs are probably my go-to. Now let's go ahead and run a Nephilim Rift with this Nephilim set on. So, unlike the Greater Rift push or speed version, I'm not utilizing all my damage here. It's just focused on extremely fast speeds, as well as getting some extra gold with the Boon of the Hoarder equipped into my socket as well. So I'm going to be running through this as fast as I possibly can. We can see that my bar is going up relatively quickly. Now, I don't usually run Nephilim Rifts very often if I can help it, and I'm ignoring all of the items on the ground. I'll obviously run into a goblin if that's, in the map there. But all of these small items that drop, 1 or 2 of them, I already have ancient items on it, so there's no point in me going around and picking up every little item. It's just slowing me down. Now here you can see my pet picking up all the things, and notice all of those Greater Rift keys that are there. Get a couple Forgotten Souls, Veiled Crystals, Arcane Dust. So my goal here is just to kind of pick up as many of these things as I can, run through the Nephilim Rift, and then I'm going to return to town. And one very important thing, I don't close the rift. I'm getting immediately out of the game, starting a new game, and then opening up a new Nephilim Rift. Now, the reason that I'm doing this is because when you close the Nephilim Rift, you get a timer. Now, I just like going to Act 1, as that's a little bit more comfortable, and now I can jump right into a Nephilim Rift. Also, the amount of XP you get from the Nephilim Rift closing is not nearly as much as a Greater Rift. It's just kind of a waste of time to even go over there and click on the close option for the Nephilim Rift. So you can see now I run through again. Let's see what happens when we close the rift. There's that timer. Okay, timer makes it so we can't do anything else. Now, sometimes you can use the timer that's counting down to scrap some of your items that you've collected, go through and enchant your gear or anything like that. And that's kind of a good way to burn through the timer. Now let's go ahead and move over to our speed version. Now this is for running Greater Rift speeds. Now I probably should have put my Boon of the Hoarder back in there, and I wanted to double check my follower because my follower was set up for the Nephilim Rifts. So to get around that, I just hire the Scoundrel who's got my GR speed version set up, and then I just run through and I do GR speeds. Now in the same way as the Nephilim Rift, right, our goal here is to save as much time as possible. So here we're going to pick up the items on the ground since they're right next to us and they only drop at the end of the rift. We're going to talk to Urshi, and we're going to go ahead and upgrade our gems. In this case, I'm leveling up a gem for the Nephilim Rift follower. And as I hit 3 left, I'm going to tap the teleport button, and you see that I finish it right when I get out of there. I'm going to close the rift, and as soon as the rift closes, I'm opening another rift. Now, I'm doing this as many times as my gear will allow. So if I have room for 3 Greater Rifts run, depending on what I pick up, you know, rings or something like that, then I'm going to go ahead and do 3. If not, and I can only do 2, then I'm going to do 2 Greater Rifts and then scrap all of the items all at once, and then do another 2 Greater Rifts, scrap all of the items all at once. This is to minimize the amount of time that I'm in town and makes it so that I can get through as many Greater Rifts as possible in the least amount of time, and the scrapping gear is all done in the same exact time frame as well. So notice how I'm going to go over to the book because the book's closer first, and then I'm going to go over and close the Greater Rift here and then move over to the scrap item. Now that's in case I want to stop by Kadala on the way and get a few more items since she's right there. Everything here is about minimizing the time it takes to do things. Here's a Paragon calculator. You can see I kind of put in an estimate 1,100 Paragon for my season. If I'm doing a Greater Rift level 105, which is what I just did, I'm by myself, and I want to reach 2,500 Paragon. My average completion time is 2 minutes, and my average time in town is 20 seconds. I have a full pool, and I want to play for about 4 hours a day. Now, if we look down at the bottom here, we can see how long it'll take. It's going to take 60 so hours to do that, and it's going to take me about 17 days running that time frame there. So if you wanted to figure out how much this matters, we can go ahead and tweak some of these things. Let's say you save a little bit more time in town. You can see the days dropped by a whole day. We're at 16.69 by saving 2 seconds in town. As we get down even further, we're saving a little bit more time in the grand scheme of things. If we could somehow get down to 10 seconds in town, then we're at 15 days needed. And of course, as that time goes up, the better. Now, if we could complete the Greater Rifts in 1 minute, right, it cuts the whole time in half to 9 days. Now, that's very difficult to do running a 105, so I don't expect that to be the case. Well, let's see what happens if we can do a Greater Rift level 106 or 107 and go up a couple levels in the Greater Rift. You can see again that the hours needed and the time needed goes down significantly. So that's why we want to figure out what the maximum Greater Rift we can do is in the least amount of time and run those over and over again. This seems intimidating, but if you get a video on in the background, you know, or listen to a podcast and just keep running those Greater Rifts, you're going to be able to do it, or you can figure out exactly how long you're going to play. Now here I'm running through Temple of the Firstborn level 1. This is in case I want to get portals needed. So this is the most dense area, and it's what I'm going to do over and over again to try and get portals. I'm just going to run through these areas until I find a portal. As soon as I get a portal, I'm just running through the first level, and I'm not trying to pick up items. I should have ignored this single item on the ground because it takes some time to pick up, and I'm just going to go to the next vision and keep running it again and again. The only thing I'm stopping for are those Greater Rift Guardians, because the Greater Rift Guardians drop Greater Rift Keys, which is going to save me some time from doing some more Nephilim Rifts if I need to. So I'm running through these areas, portal, next room. Run through the area, portal, next room. I'm not picking up anything. The first few levels, they don't drop very much anyway. Here's a couple items on the ground. Taking the time to pick them up is not worth it. Only time I'm doing that again is when I get these Greater Rift Guardians. And I'm doing this over and over and over and over again. Now, if I want to keep running portals, I'm going to go ahead and do it primarily for the bounty mats and the chance to get a goblin level. So as soon as I've collected what I needed to do, again, I don't like that timer. I'm going to leave the game and I'm going to come back in, go straight to the Temple of the Firstborn, Act 2, run it over and over again until I get another portal. Now, as I'm doing this compared to somebody else just doing regular bounties, I'll probably get about 8 or 9 times more portals than they are, doing the same thing in the same amount of time. So here we go again, running through the thing, got a portal, and I'm getting Greater Rift Guardians. I'm getting Greater Rift Keys as I'm doing this, right? So I'm not needing to run some extra Nephilim Rifts. I'm building up the bounty mats, so that way I can reforge a bunch of items if necessary, or I can craft a bunch of the Guardian sets that I need until I get the right Ancient that I need, right? So this is all done in a way to make the game just slightly easier in the same amount of time that I have to do this. Now, I have a wife and kids, which means that my time to play these games is reduced, so I don't have a lot of time to play compared to somebody who doesn't have those responsibilities. So, or, you know, maybe has just doing this as a job. So, what I'm going to do in this game is I'm going to make it so the small amount of time that I have to play is going to get me as far as possible. So you can see now I'm getting a lot of items on the ground here. Taking the time to pick all of those up is just not worth it when I have all ancient items anyway. Now occasionally I'll see an item on the ground and I recognize, oh, that's a dawn, or that is something that I need. Maybe I'll grab it, maybe it'll be ancient. Or if there's a room like this where just so much items drop and they're so closely condensed together, then I can go ahead and pick up some of those items. And that usually happens when you've ran through about 8 portals or so. Now notice how I clicked on the chest first. That's because I know I will be able to get those items in the time frame. And now I'm going to go and backtrack and pick up those extra items that I missed. Now, I probably shouldn't have gone up there to pick up the gems, but I was pretty sure I was getting full anyway on the other items. And now I can make my way back through the portals, go here, collect the items on the ground, and pick them up. Now I started to teleport to town, and then I realized this vision is just going to kick me out in the same amount of time, so I might as well wait. The vision's going to kick me out, and then I'm back to town. And I've got a full inventory worth of supplies to scrap and build up some Forgotten Souls. So that's the core of efficiency in Diablo 3. Now I've got a little kind of surprise thing here for you at the end. If you go into a challenge rift and you want to spawn Diablo, he won't give you the supplies that he drops, which is some of those vials you get from the like vial of putridness and stuff from the key guardians. But you can go over to a challenge rift and just stand in the spot and basically kill them over and over again until you get 1,000 kills and it'll spawn Diablo in. So that'll be a fun little thing at the end of the video here. I do have a Discord, which I will link in the bottom of the description here. I'm trying to listen to the community more, so if you have any video ideas, go ahead and mention them in the Discord. I'll make the time to do these videos. I'm really trying to cover every single topic and try and make things a little bit better. Somebody commented under one of the weekly challenge rift things that I should do the skills and say the names of them for the console versions, and I play this game on console. So when I start doing the challenge rifts, I'm going to kind of do a side-by-side and show you the 2 different versions, console version and PC edition, and show you kind of both of those things and what the skills look like and have it a little bit better for you guys here. So I try to respond to every kind of comment on this video. I'm trying to make this video as informative as possible, and maybe I'm just kind of saying stuff that some of you guys already know. Hopefully, though, if you're new to the game and you want, you know, some newer updated videos based on the seasons and stuff, I'm gonna keep playing this game. I love this game. I started playing Diablo 4 in the beta when it first came out, and I'm waiting for Diablo 4 to give me the same level of excitedness that Diablo 3 offers, and it hasn't quite done it yet because the seasonal themes in Diablo 3 offer some very fresh, exciting leveling content. There are some people who compete in this game, and it's nice to see people on those leaderboards still playing this game and still getting higher than me, and you know, the struggle and desire to clear a Greater Rift 150. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it kind of gave you something to kind of think about. Thank you. Bye.